everyone. Welcome back to the Willy Wonka Fibers podcast. My name is Anne, and if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for taking a little time to join me today. And of course, if you're one of my returning viewers, thank you so much for continuing to support the podcast and coming to spend some time with me. Today is May, can you believe it's May? May 3rd, 2016, which is a Tuesday. I am a day behind in recording since I was on travel this past weekend, but I'm going to kind of get to everything hopefully in good time today. I think the extra day won't stretch this podcast out too much. Again, if you're new to the podcast, this is a podcast about my knitting, sewing, designing, indie dyeing, general crafty type stuff. You can find me on the web at woolywonkafiber.com, which is my main website. Show notes live there. Also on Ravelry, I have a Willy Wonka Fibers group there. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Willy Wonka Fibers, and if you're looking for my personal page on Ravelry, I am Bunny Spinner. So hi, I hope you all have been well over the past week. I wound up being on the road again this past weekend. My husband and I, sorry, Kitty is being more helpful than she needs to. My husband and I zipped off to California to go to a family wedding this past weekend. A cousin of my husband's who, both the girls are younger than my husband and I are. So they were fairly young when we got married, but apparently remembered our wedding fondly, and so the older cousin had really wanted us to come, and you know, Santa Barbara, California in April is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous ceremony. We got to catch up with lots of family we haven't seen in a while. I'm ready to be done with travel. I'm ready to be home. I'm ready to be a homebody. I'm ready to have several weekends at home where I am not traveling. We'll keep my fingers crossed that that will hold through until the end of May. We have one more family get-together that's on the books, and so we'll be back on the East Coast for a long weekend then. So, of course, since we're back in New Mexico, my allergies have kicked back up. Not a problem with anything in California, but noticeable here. I did do a fair amount of knitting, so let's start off with that. I don't have any finished objects to share with you guys this week. Last week was kind of nothing but the finished objects. So this week I'm in the process of working on some stuff, so let's just move right along to works in progress. The sweater that I'm working on that's out of the Harrisville Shetland, that is, I would say the body is just over 2/3 finished. Maybe not quite 3/4, but it's getting there. And that's my focus project, which I'll be working on this week and hopefully have it finished up this time next week. That's my goal. We'll see how it goes, because you know sometimes when you get to Sleeve Island you lose focus. But it is a deadline knitting project, so I need to keep cranking along on it. So I don't have that to show you, obviously, since it's a design project that will be released later this fall. But what I can show you, I did a little bit more work on some blanket squares for my Cozy Memories blanket this past week. Just 3, because I didn't take this with me when we went on the road either. But here are the 3 that I've finished. This first one is on Willy Wonka Fibers Carradwin Sock, and it's the very first color in the Winter Storm transitional pack. It's a really, really pale blue-gray. Then I've got, this is another one, same base, and this is from the Into the Forest color pack. It's the 3rd one in the colorway progression. And it's got a lot of really nice kind of dark greens, maybe a little tiny hint of chestnut in there, and a little bit of sort of mid-range green, but basically a solid. And then I have one final kind of brighter one. That's a Gnome Acres House Gnome Sock Base mini that I got. I don't know the colorway, but Jen, Tiny Dancer Knits, you probably do, so you can maybe share that with us all. All of the minis that I had gotten from them in a little grab bag were unmarked, so I'm just enjoying knitting them up and seeing how the colors progress. So I think I'm at about 20 squares now. If you are new to the podcast, I've decided not to join my squares as I go along, and instead I'm going to knit them up and then lay them out and decide how I want to have the colors be near each other, because I'm just a wee bit OCD about that sort of thing. So I'm just going to continue working on that blanket and the squares till I get a bunch done. I'm not even sure what the magic number is that is a bunch, but a bunch. And then I'll do some layout and sew them together, see if there's any spots that need to be filled in, or if I need other colors or whatever it may be. The other project I worked on quite a bit, actually, because this was a good project to take, and when we were sitting around for the brunch after the wedding and in the car kind of touring around, I worked on the French vanilla cappuccino socks that are designed by CC Almon, and these are part of the Coffee with CC knit along that Jilly is hosting over at the Knitting Broomstick. And I think I showed you guys what I had cast on for the first sock, but I have the first sock done. The yarn is from Peepaloo Fields, and the colorway is Old Soul. I realized when I got down to the heel on these that I actually had done the type of heel that CC has in that pattern, and I had been hankering to do something different, like expand my experiences with sock heels. For plain vanilla socks, I like to try to do that occasionally just because, you know, it's something good, and I think it's always helpful to have an arsenal of different techniques kind of on, you know, at the ready. So I decided I would try one of the Fish Lips Kiss heels, and I'd heard different things about the pattern. It is on the surface kind of scary because I think there's like 16 pages to it, but ultimately there's really a page and a half of instructions, and that's all you need. And once you do the technique that shapes the heel once on each side, you basically have it. I mean, I just glanced at it for the second sock to refresh my memory, but I didn't really need to use it. It's a great short row type heel. I think you can see when I worked the heel, I got no hole here. This has not been darned. This is actually what it looks like on both sides. And I like the way it looks. I think it looks very finished. It fits well, so that's a good thing too. I don't always love short row heels, so having one that you can work all in one with the sock is really great when you like it that much. So the pattern is a steal. It's a buck on Ravelry, and you can get it as a download and read over it. It works for toe up or cuff down socks. Very versatile. So I learned that, and obviously have the first sock finished, and then I have sock 2 on the needles, and I've turned the heel, and I've started the foot. So I have 1 1/2 done, and so I'm hoping to get these done this week. This is like a good mindless knitting project, and I have appointments this whole week. Both the dogs have to go to the vet, I have to go to the doctor. Waiting time. These type of socks are perfect, and I love how this colorway is knitting up. It's just, you know, it's springy without being too sort of twee. It's a little bit darker in real life, I think. There's more kind of a rose undertone to it. But it does have all these gorgeous kind of chocolate brown, purpley brown specks in it, and gold, and pink, and kind of a plum color. Really, really nice base. I'm definitely enjoying these. So I will link to the CC Coffee with CC knit along. These will also be going in my box O Socks for that knit along that's being hosted by Kristen over at Yarngasm. And also Jilly's year-long sock club, you know, knit your own sock, whatever pattern yarn you want to use. These will also count towards that for probably my May sock. So those are in pretty good shape. Like I said, going to try to finish those up this weekend and hopefully have that to show you guys next week when I podcast. And then the final thing that I have going on my needles, I went ahead and cast on for the Jane Austen-Along, which Jilly at the Knitting Broomstick is also hosting. That will be running the month of May. And I talked about it a little bit last time in terms of the yarn. So the yarn that I'm using for this project is my Nimue sock. And this is a colorway that I designed specifically to go as part of a Jane Austen themed set, which is available in the shop. This is Miss Elizabeth Bennet. It's just a really pretty soft blue-gray. And I am knitting the pattern I designed quite a while ago called the Lizzie Shawl that's inspired by Lizzie Bennet. It's kind of a package thing. So I'm not very far along on it. And I'm making some tweaks to the increases. So if you've knit the pattern, you'll probably notice this looks at least a little bit different, but here's where I am right now. And I'm knitting the middle size. There's 3 sizes in the pattern. The first 2 take just 1 skein of the 435 yard Nimue sock. And then the 3rd size, the large, you need another skein to finish it. So this is knit from the back neck down, starts here. It's a really nice kind of heart-shaped shawl. It sits around your shoulders nicely. And then it has a knit-on attached border at the bottom, and otherwise it's just garter stitch. So I'll also be chipping away at that this week. I love this color. I think it's a great, I mean, it's lovely and springy and early summery, and I could see wearing it with a lot of different things, from khakis to jeans to a little lace sundress. So nothing specific in terms of goals on this one, but it is on the needles and I am chugging along on it, so that's at least a start. So that is also going towards the shawl knit along that I am co-hosting with Laura, who is Fluffy K or Fluffy Kira, depending on where you find her, and she is the host of At the Corner of Knit and Tea podcast. That knit along is running through the end of May, so you still have time to get in on it. You can knit any shawl, any design, any yarn. There are some incentives if you'd like to knit one of my patterns though, and all of that information is in my thread on the Woolly Wonka Ravelry group page. So I will link to that so you guys can see if you're interested in participating in that. I think Laura and I have decided on prizes. I believe she's going to gift a skein of yarn to one lucky winner, a random number generator who posts their finished object in the FO thread in my Ravelry group. I will be donating basically a bundle of patterns you can mix and match and pick your own. So that will be the second prize. And then the third prize, which will be for anybody who has knit one of the shawls using one of my designs, one of my patterns. Laura and I are going to do a co-hosted giveaway. She's going to spin you a skein of handspun that will match this really fun project bag that I'm making. The fabric should be here at the end of the week. So
I should have that to preview before the end of the month in case you need a little incentive to join and or to get your shawl finished if you have already joined. I will list all of those knit-alongs as well as the handspun knit-along that I'm hosting that will run this entire year. You can join at any time. It's make anything knit or crocheted or woven out of your handspun. Post a picture. You can potentially win a prize. And it's a great way to use up your handspun stash. So that's also ongoing in the Willy Wonka Fibers Ravelry group. I think that's it for On the Needles and knit-alongs. I think I got everything. Yeah, okay. So moving on to spinning. The first thing, I just wanted to make an announcement that I will be hosting a Tour de Fleece 2016 group team, one of the wildcard teams. And I know that we're still 2 months away, but if you're a planner and you want to start thinking about what you might like to spin for the tour, the group will be really similar to last year, fairly flexible. It'd be great if you wanted to spin something that was a Willy Wonka fiber, but you aren't required to do that. We would just love to have you join us and participate in all the fun that happens in the group and sharing finished spins and talking about what you might do with a certain fiber. So the sign-up thread is open in my group. The tour will not kick off until the 2nd of July. And it runs through, I believe it's the 24th of July this year, so about 3 weeks. And the sort of guidelines for the Tour de Fleece are listed in that post. And you're also welcome to chat about projects, things you want to accomplish, and of course you can double, triple, quadruple, septuple dip. You do not just have to choose one team. You can, if you're a spindle spinner, there's some teams that just do spindling. If you are interested in doing, let's say, only lace weight, there's the sprinters team and a bunch of other ones. I think there's several as well that if you're looking to try to push yourself to do a big project like a sweater spin or multi-skein shawl spin, that type of deal, you can join those as well. We don't even have that kind of level of rules or regulations for the Willy Wonka Fibers group. So if you're a spinner and you think you want to participate at all, it's really no pressure and it's a ton of fun. You know, it gives you a chance to kind of do some focused spinning on your wheel. And I originally thought I might do a sweater spin for the tour this year, but I think instead what I'm going to try to do is concentrate on my Spin the Bin project because I really need to do that. I need to buckle down and get some focus time in on that and the fibers in there. So when we get a little closer, I will talk about what I think I'm going to pull to focus on and how I want to sort of try to get the most bang for my buck out of the 3 weeks we have for the tour. And fingers crossed, you guys, that I am not traveling a lot, if at all, that month. I would love to have a quiet month at home. I know I have one outing but it's like just to Albuquerque. It's not get on a plane, fly 2,400 miles kind of thing. So anyway, that's the Tour de Fleece note and upcoming. So mark your calendars. And again, if you would like to be in on the Willy Wonka group, we would love to have you. All spinners, welcome. You don't need a skill set, even if you're a brand new beginner spinner. We're not going for any certain type of yardage or anything like that. We'll have some fun prizes to give away during the tour and at the end. And beginning right around the 1st of June, I will have lots of fresh fibers up in the shop in case you need to supplement your stash. So let's move on to finished spins. I did get the club fiber from April spun up. I'm actually doing pretty good keeping up with the Willy Wonka Club. So this fiber is 100% Shetland wool. The colorway is called the Flower Carrier, and it is inspired by a Diego Rivera painting. I spun this up in a DK weight.
2-ply, and it's really, I mean, it's really squishy. I'm thinking mittens for it at some point. I wound up with 233 yards total. And, you know, they're just fun, bright colors. Lots of yellows, some pinks, kind of a peach or a salmon colored, like a warm orange in there, and just a little bit of a blue-gray. So that is what I got accomplished before I left on tour. Currently on the wheel, I'm about half done the singles, but let me show you guys what I'm spinning. This is from my Spin the Bin project, so one more is in process. This is a very, very old club fiber. I believe it's about 8 years old, almost 9, because I think it was a club that I had the first year that we lived in New Mexico, and that is 9 years ago. Anyway, it's from Woolen Mill Street Yarns. Here's her card. And it is Blueface Leicester in the colorway Raking Leaves. So I think this was like an October or November colorway. And I've already unbraided it and split it. But you can see the colors in the half I have left to spin. Some golds, little tiny bit of pumpkin, some kind of sage green, some really light spots. And I'm not doing anything crazy with this. I'm shooting for a sport weight. I took the first half, I took the braid and I split it in half. So this is, here's half number 2. And then I just split it into skinny lengthwise strips like that and spun down the colorway. The colors are all similar enough that I wanted to break them up and not have huge chunks, really long runs of color. So here is the first bobbin spun up. And it actually looks a lot like the roving does, which doesn't always happen in the world of hand spun. So I'm not trying to make the colors line up. I'm sure there'll be some sections where they do, but there'll also be some barber pole sections. So my plan is to get this other half of the fiber spun up, the other 2 ounces, and then ply these together and have that done before the end of the week. So that is what's currently on my wheel. I think next on my wheel is going to still wind up being another project from the Spin the Bin. I may choose one of the smaller bats. I haven't decided yet. It's either that or there's the Superwash Corriedale that I have been wanting to put on the wheel and spin for socks. So I may bump that up. We'll see. We'll see what I'm inspired by when I come to the end of this particular spin. Finally, doing pretty good here, guys. Staying focused. I had a bunch of new fiber come to the house that are from my clubs, so I thought I would share those with you. The first one is from Three Waters Farm, and this is the top of the month club for, I think it's for May. But here is her label. Let's see if I can get that to flatten out. Kind of, sort of. There we go. Three Waters Farm. And this is the luxury blend this time. It's a combination of 80% merino and 20% tussa silk. And the colorway is called Early Blooming. Really fun. It's bright. It's got lots of springtime colors, lots of pinks, a really clear blue, and then kind of some grass greens and a little tiny bit of yellow. So that's really, I love those colors. I think that's going to be a really pretty spin. No specific plans on when I'm going to spin this yet or what it might be. We'll see. I have a couple of other merino silk braids that might go really well with this. I have one that's very similar to this color blue, but it might be too close to do as like a stripy shawl kind of thing. So we'll see. It's lovely though, and Marianne does a nice job with her colors. I really Really enjoyed that one. Acquisition number 2. This is the 3rd installment in the Ocean Wind Knits Fiber Club. This is the April 26th club. The colorway is called Fish Fingers and Custard. And again, it's Doctor Who inspired colorway. And this is on 100% organic merino is the base. Let me pull the label off, the other label, and then you guys can hopefully see the colors a little bit better. It's mostly blues, dark blue, mid-range blue, really pale blue, but then there's little pops of a brighter kind of rosy color in there. I think it's reading more orange. It's definitely reading more orange. Let's see if I can get some of the other bits of it to show up any better. Nope, still reading kind of orange. It's an orangey red that's in there, so, but lots of blues, which I like. And it is so crazy soft. So crazy soft. Again, stash marination for a while. We'll see. I do have Jilly's Doctor Who along happening next month, I believe it is, in June. So you may see one of the Doctor Who inspired, or more of the Doctor Who inspired colorways come out of stash to spin for that. I don't think I'm going to try to knit anything for that. So if I can use a spinning fiber, then that's what I'm going to plan on doing. And then finally, I got the 2nd installment and from Ginny at FatCatKnits, her fiber club. The theme for the 3, and she's already sent one, this is set number 2, is Undersea Life. And there's 2 colorways. They're both on 72% superwash merino, 14% bamboo, and then 14% sparkle. And again, with Ginny's clubs, you get 5 ounces, 2 2.5 ounce braids. The 2 colorways are, and I have a feeling I'm going to completely butcher these, Taclobo and Kabibi, which are both inspired by giant clams that are in the Pacific around Australia, coast of China, and the waters of the Philippines. So those are 2 Filipino terms. So the first one is the Taclobo, and again, crazy pants blues. These are so pretty. Look at those, you guys. Aren't they? And you can see right there that little bit of sparkle. Isn't that pretty? And then the other colorway is the Kabibi, which has a little bit of a blue-green in it. And then it's got a whole bunch of gorgeous neutrals. There's a little bit of tan, there's some white, there's kind of a charcoal gray, sort of a sand color, I guess I would call it. So let me show you those 2 together, because I think I'm going to wind up spinning these together. I just think the colors work so great together that they would be beautiful spun as a 2-ply. So I think really pretty. Fairly sure, because of how soft and kind of drapey sleek these are, that I will likely spin it for a shawl. So spin it fairly finely and then eventually knit a shawl from it. So again, that was from FatCatKnits, and that is the 2nd of her Undersea Life inspired club set this go round. Lots of stash marinating about to occur, because that's kind of where I am with those. I think that's it for this week. I think I kind of zipped through everything. Got us in under 35 minutes, which is what I'm shooting for. I will be back again next Monday. Hopefully have a few more fun things to share with you guys. I really kind of need some time off where I have a day where I'm not working. I was kind of pushing to get some wholesale orders out the door before I left for Baltimore 2 weeks ago, and then before I left for California last week. And so those are done, and I have a few small things, but that and the clubs and everything else have gone out. And next time around, I will share with you the club pattern, the next Heroines Club pattern that went out to the club folks. I'm not sure everybody's gotten theirs yet because it was probably delivered either yesterday or today. So anyway, a little quiet time for me, kind of going to hunker down, do some homebody stuff, and hopefully get a bunch of crafting in. So I'm looking forward to that. So thank you all for tuning in with me again this week. I greatly appreciate it. And so until I see you next time, I hope you have a wonderful, productive week wherever you are, and that your weather is wonderful and not too dreary. And I will talk with you all next Monday. Take care.